Ronnie. I'm just waiting for my hot dogs to cook. And I had a thing going through my mind with numbers, and I've been engineering my special boat project. And I just want to know, numbers never lie, but they never give you all the answers. Physics, engineering will never give you all the answers. If you can see, here's what I asked. How do I find the volume of a circle? And yeah, they got all kinds of drawings, and then you got, I can move this down, pi r squared, and first work out the area of one of the circular ends of, I didn't ask about a cylinder, I asked about a circle, right? And you got your calculations, pi times r squared, boom, you take the radius. Well, yeah, that's algebra crap to make normal humans that can actually run numbers, to confuse them and make them stay away from engineering and stuff. How do you find a volume of a circle? Pi times the radius squared. Well, if you have a circle you want to know the volume of, you're already going to know the radius. You're going to know how big around this circle is. Say, this is an inch circle. I want to know how much volume. What is the volume of that circle? Well, I don't need to know pi first. I need to know the radius. I need to know the circle, and then the radius is 1/2 of this circle, okay? So then you take the radius by their calculations in physics and engineering. You take the radius, which is 1/2 of 1 inch, would be 1/2 inch. So you take 1/2 inch times 1/2 inch, which I believe in my head comes out to point, instead of 0.5 times 0.5 comes out to 0.025 or 0.25. I could use a calculator, but I'm busy with my hands. But yeah, and then after you have that radius first, where you start, then you take that times 3.14, which, let's just see. I know you're going to be bored with this, but I have a point to make. I want to show you. Okay, here's my calculator. I'm holding with one hand and trying to type. Okay. I don't know if you probably can't see it. 1, right there, right in the corner of my cheap calculator, times squared. 1 times 1, 1 inch, times 1. That's the radius squared. 1 times 1 is 1. Yeah? Okay. Then we go times 3.14. Right here. Equals I guess that's the radius, 3, I don't know. The numbers don't add up. See, here's a question I got that I'm asking any engineer or any physics or quantum physics people. Why you can't just go pi, okay? Yeah, 3.14, that's not correct. That can't be correct. I know that much in my mind. That number cannot be correct. Pi, 3.14. Let's try it the other way. 3.14, right here, times the radius squared. The radius is 0.5. Okay, times, I might have bumped that, 0.5, equal 0.785. Now that looks correct. That is supposedly the volume of a circle, 1 inch around. But now here's my question, and you can reverse add them numbers up, and it'll come up the same. A 1 inch circle has a volume of 0.785 of whatever it is in inches. But how can that be? Here's my question. It's not a sphere. It's not a cylinder. It is a flat plane. A flat plane. See, on those calculations right here, which is bullcrap pi times radius squared, which is pi, radius is... Just use the damn numbers. Take the radius you have. If it's a 1-inch circle, the radius is from the center in the middle. I'm doing out. So if it's 1 inch, you split it in half. So that would be 0.5. 0.5 inches times itself. 0.5 times 0.5 comes out to 0.025. It comes out to where it adds up to 7.85. All right, that is the volume of a 1-inch circle. But there's one point in all these calculations that are missing, because you notice, yeah, it looks like a dick, it looks like a globe or a cylinder, where numbers tell the truth and will never lie, but the volume of a circle, they have these calculations, pi times the radius squared, okay? Now, I'm going to move this. You know, you're all probably going to be chapping sacks, but this is all Google and Wiki and stuff. Volume is a quantity of a three-dimensional space enclosed by a closed surface. For example, a space that a substance, solid, liquid, gas, or plasma, or a shape occupies or contains. Excuse me. Volume is often quantified numerically using the letters SI derived unit, the cubic meter. Well, we ain't doing cubic meters. We're not even talking cubic inches. But I said, how do I find the volume of a circle? Here's your other answer. You find the volume of a circle by pi, which is 0.34 times the radius, times the radius. But there's one number missing. There's one very important number missing in all these equations that have been put out since Einstein and way before in quantum physics and all this. To find volume of a circle, you have to have a space. How thick of a line are we talking in that circle? To even have any of those numbers add up, it has to take up volume. In my mind, I see a circle 1 inch around. I want to know how much volume that circle in my mind takes up. It's 0. I can draw a circle on a piece of paper right down, here if I wanted to. I'm trying to just get you to look at how I see things. All this is very important, but here, I'm going to make a circle. It's not going to be perfect. Make believe this is a perfect circle, okay? That's a perfect circle right here. How much volume is that circle taking up? Well, if it's just on a plane in reality, in energy, there's a circle, but there's no space. See, this is on paper. If I measure this paper, then I can figure the volume of a circle. Just by a circle by itself and their numbers, you end up with 0. You have to have a thickness, a volume. Okay, this paper is a volume. It takes up space. If you have a circle in an area. Oh, my battery's running out. If you have a circle in space, but a plane, and it's covering a plane, but it's not a measurable plane, then you have no volume, then you have no circle, and then none of your equations work. I'm just thinking this while my hot dogs are cooking. Yeah. To find the volume of a circle, pi times the radius squared, which is just to make smart people that are smart turn numbers into letters and then turn them back to numbers. And they put them in the wrong order. Algebra is bullshit. Pi times radius squared. Here's how you find the volume of a circle. You find the radius. If you have a circle that big, the diameter, if it's an inch, right there, then that's the diameter. The radius is from the center, where my finger out is, 1/2 of the diameter. So if it's an inch, that'd be 0.5 inches times 0.5 inches times 3.14 will give you the volume of a circle. But if there's not a thickness, that equation tells you the volume of a circle on a make-believe flat plane, or does it? Because if there's a make-believe flat plane that does not take any space up, then there's no volume taken up. There has to be one more number to this algebra equation or this physics equation. You have to know the thickness of the circle radius you're trying to find. Otherwise, the answer is always 0. How do you find the radius of a circle? It can be 100 by 100 by 100. It's always going to be 0 unless it takes up space. It takes up volume. Think about it. That's cool. I think my hot dogs are about done cooking. Think about it. Yeah, and pi r squared. Algebra is just crap to take people that can use numbers and they turn them around backwards and don't make no sense. How do you find a volume of a circle? You take the diameter, measure it, cut that in half. If it's an inch, that would be 0.5 inches. Then you take that times itself, the radius times 0.5 times 0.5 times 3.14, and I can go into the hundreds of thousands of millions of numbers after that. But that's on a make-believe plane. There's no volume. There's one number missing. To find the volume of a circle, you have to have a thickness. Okay, that's just numbers on a make-believe plane. This paper right here and this circle has thickness on it. Now, if this circle is just in my mind or in outer space, and there's no way to, where's my hand? There's no way to find a volume of a circle unless you take pi times r squared plus the thickness of the area. That equation has been around forever and ever, and it's not correct. To take up volume, you need to take up space. If it's on a perfectly plane with 0 anything, that's a volume. And that's, it doesn't say anything right here. Pi times radius squared, it never mentions what is the thickness of the radius or the volume you're measuring. Just think about it. See, numbers never lie. Equations lie. They're laws of physics and laws of engineering for hundreds, if not thousands of years, but they don't make sense. But that's just a roundabout figure how they work, and then they take letters, instead of just using regular numbers and put them straight out, to confuse humans, to keep them out of their AO, so smart humans can't just see how stupid they really are. How do you have a volume of a circle with only the radius squared, pi? There's no volume number there. There's no thickness there. There's no thickness number, but this is how to calculate volume. Everybody's been taught. You cannot calculate volume without one more number, the thickness of the area of the circle. Hello? That's true fact. Y'all don't think I'm wrong. You think I'm wrong? Look it up. Hunt it down. Pi times the radius squared is the volume of the circle with a non-existent plane that takes up no space. So then, that is not volume, because to take up volume, you need to use space. So there has to be a measurement of thickness of that circle, not around, but this way. And that's not even an equation that anybody ever knows or looks at. To find a volume of a circle is always going to be 0 by pi times radius squared until you have one more number, the thickness of the area of that circle, that from top to bottom, left to right, whatever. But there's your laws of algebra and your mathematicians and your bullshit that are blatant lies that are still lies forever. You cannot find a volume of a circle with those equations. You have to have the thickness of that circle also. Because without the thickness equation, you just have a 0 line of nothing. So the answer of the volume on a circle on drawn out and saying, I got a 1-inch circle, I want to know the volume of it. Yeah, I got a 1-inch circle in outer space, and that I can just see in my mind, but pi times radius squared will say it's like 7.8 or 0.785. That's impossible, because if there's no depth of the circle, there's no space being taken up, there is no volume, so this equation does not ever work and tell the truth, because this equation states the volume of a circle, but there's not the one major number. How much thickness is that circle? Could be a micron, a billionth of a micron, a third of a thickness of a ray of light, but you have to have that number. If you don't have the fourth number of the thickness, you have no volume. Get my drift? Oh, that's so cool. Think about it. Okay, I gotta go get my hot dogs and eat and go to bed. Mwah. Peace. Apple heart love. Don't think all the laws and algebra's crap. I said, put the numbers right out. Numbers never lie, and you cannot have an answer with that. That's not an answer. What's sphere? But what is the volume of a circle? Pi times the radius squared, which is bullshit. That's just the area of a circle that in make-believe space. To have volume, you have to take up space. It says right there. Here's all your bullshit numbers and algebra and crap that don't mean a damn thing. Put the numbers straight out. Yeah, you cannot have volume of a circle unless it takes up space. So then you should have one more number for the equation of the thickness of the space the circle has dimension-wise. You got the radius squared. Well, what's the thickness? Just directly proportionate. There you go. Algebra's bullshit, and 90% of physics and laws of engineering are bullshit. We weigh 10%, 5%, 2,000s, 4,000s. You cannot have a volume of a circle unless you have the radius plus the thickness of the circle. Okay? Yeah, that's what y'all been taught. Engineering is, numbers don't lie when you get the other number in there. But all these people that, here's this R plus XY minus boom in parentheses Z, but put the real numbers out there, it's plain to see. There's no answer. Right here. What is the volume of a circle if I have the dimension for it? It's still zero until you have a thickness. It doesn't matter. You need to take up space to have volume. Okay? Just a circle in your mind, and you see a 1-inch circle, and how much volume does that circle take up? It's always going to be zero until you see it in the circle, and then tilt it sideways in your mind and look how thick it is. Yeah, and that's not any equations anywhere on Google, on Wikipedia, on anything, but you say for a sphere, or for like some kind of cylinder looks like a fucking little tiny penis or something. But yeah, to find volume of a circle, it says all you need is pi 3.1476 something, and I can keep going after that, times the radius, which is half the diameter, times the radius again. Which, you see, I got an inch circle. I want to know how much volume it has. 1 inch. Take it in half is the radius, so that's 0.5 times 0.5 would be 0.5 times 0.5 would be 0.025, I think. But then, times 0.3 would be 785. But that's a blatant lie because there's no thickness of the area. If it's to have a volume, it needs to take up actual space in the atmosphere or anywhere. Even if it's like a micron thick, it has to take up area. So yeah, the volume of a circle is bullshit until you add in the fourth dimension. Not just the round and boom, you got to add that. Well, that'd be 3D, but I call it 4D. So there you go. Algebra is a bunch of bullshit, and never think you're stupid if you can add numbers and stuff don't add up right by what you were taught and what they still show, because it's impossible to find the volume of a circle unless you know pi times the radius squared times the thickness of the area of the circle. Okay? You can't do it. It can't be done. Otherwise, the answer is always going to be zero. Because you have to add in that equation of to take up volume, which means space, you have to have one more number, the thickness of the space it's taking up. Otherwise, a circle in its own never takes up any space. It's on any plane it wants in a circle. It never takes up any volume, never takes any space up until it has a thickness to it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, love y'all. Alright, I gotta go eat my hot dogs. Love you. Y'all have fun. I'm gonna post this, see how many people watch, how many people think I'm nuts. But I'm really hungry. and I'm retired, and I've been busy. We've been going like heck at work, and yeah. But it's cool, but my mind just went, hey, I just want to show people this. Pi times radius squared does not make a volume of a circle unless you have one more number. But numbers never lie. And the radius and the volume of a circle, no matter however big it is 0 until you have the thickness area one more number. It will always be 0. Pi times radius squared will give you a number, but that's a lying number. That number is 0 until you take that number times the thickness of the dimension of the circle that you are talking about. If it's a flat circle, the answer for volume is always going to be 0. Because it has to take up space to have volume. There you go. They don't teach you that. Love y'all. I'll be back. Be safe. Screw the COVID stuff. Oh, new government tomorrow. God bless America. God bless us all. We just gotta hang out and deal with it and see what happens, you know, and prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's all we can do. Tomorrow's always a new day, and we can control it down the road, but we gotta let it happen first. That's God's will. God never stated that communists and rich people will inherit the earth. God said, the meek shall inherit the earth, so I believe in that. Okay? God. But yeah, it's going to be different. But don't go ballistic. But yeah, there's true answers. You cannot have a volume of a circle with those calculations until you have one more number that tells the truth on how thick of the space is in that circle that you're using. It's just a flat make-believe line in a circle. There's no such thing as volume. Cool breeze. Love y'all. Tomorrow's a new day. I hope everything goes good. I think the American people that love America won't cause a problem. But there are going to be people that try to make it look like it on the news and stuff and at the Capitol. The people that love America and care and want to keep it the way it was founded are not going to be anywhere to cause a problem. But it will look like it on TV. But you know the truth. God bless you all. Love you. Tomorrow's a new day. You all have a good one. But yeah, there's something to think about. You don't believe me? Look it up. I already Googled it and showed you. To have volume, you have to take up space. Pi times the radius squared doesn't take up any space. There you go. Alright, I gotta eat my hot dogs and get to bed. Love y'all. I'll be back. I miss you guys.